What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the video here on the What a Juice channel. Welcome back to some more reaction to EA and Madden releasing their top 10 ratings for players in the upcoming Madden 22 video game. That is right. We are going to be covering every single list that comes out. We've already done wide receivers. We've already done rookies. We've already done defensive linemen. It is now time to do tight ends. And as always, I will scoot over a little bit. As always, the list will be right here, right now. That's right, the list is going to be in this general area as it always is. And we are going to be talking about the top 10 top 10 tight ends in Madden 22. Obviously, we all know who number one is going to be. You guys can see it right up there. It is Travis Kelce at a 99. That is no shock, absolutely no shock that Travis Kelce is a 99, or Travis Kels, however you want to pronounce his name. Travis Kelce is a 99 overall. I'm not surprised. I'm not shocked by it at all. He is probably the best tight end in the league in real life, and they show that to him in Madden, giving him a 99. But at number 2, the second best tight end in the game is George Kittle. And some may argue that George Kittle is better than Travis Kelce. We could really go back and forth on this. Is George Kittle better? Is Travis Kelce better? We don't really know who the better one is. In my opinion, it's Travis Kelce because he tends to stay on the field a little bit more. He doesn't get hurt as often as George Kittle does. And now, George Kittle doesn't really get hurt that much, but in the past couple of seasons, he's been having some injuries that have taken him off the field, but Travis Kelce's been on the field. And another thing that you could say in argument for George Kittle being the better tight end is the fact that he doesn't have as good of a quarterback as Travis Kelce does. Travis Kelce is catching balls from Patrick Mahomes, but George Kittle is catching balls from Jimmy Garoppolo. There's a big difference in skill gap between those two players. So some may argue that goes in favor of George Kittle because he's still one of the best tight ends in the league, still catching balls from Jimmy Garoppolo. So he's a 96. I might have him at a 97, 98, just to keep him right there level with Travis Kelce. I probably wouldn't give two tight ends a 99, but I would probably give George Kittle a 97, 98, just to keep him right there on the same stratosphere as Travis Kelce. Then we move down, we drop to a 93 with Darren Waller. And there's some arguments out there that say Darren Waller is the best tight end in the league. There's an argument for the first 4 guys on this list that people would make to have them be the best tight end in the league. Darren Waller definitely has some fans behind him. I'm one of them. I really do like Darren Waller. I think he's a really good tight end, especially in Madden. He gets underrated. He's not super expensive, so you can get him for a bargain in Madden, and you can use him as your number 1, and he's going to be a pretty solid player for you. I wouldn't have him any higher than a 95, though, because I just think there's a little bit of a difference between Kelce and Kittle, and then Darren Waller and Mark Andrews. And Mark Andrews, we drop down even more to an 88 to get to Andrews. Now, Mark Andrews has Lamar Jackson throw into him. Some may say that hurts him. Some may say that helps him. I don't know. You guys can be the judge of that. I don't really know. But Mark Andrews at an 88. He's still cheap. He's on his rookie deal. He's not making any money at all. Under $1 million, I think. At least last year in Madden he was. And Mark Andrews is probably on this list of guys is the best value pick you can get. He's an 88 overall, which is still one of the best tight ends in the league. He's very cheap, and he's going to be very productive for you in your franchise. He's going to grow into a high 90s by the second season. He's going to catch 60, 70 balls if you throw it to him enough, maybe even 80 if you just keep throwing it to him. He's going to get over 1,000 yards. He's going to get over 10 touchdowns. He's going to be one of the best players in your franchise. And he's a super good value pick. And I don't think he's super hard to trade for. Comparing him to other tight ends and other players in the league, I don't think Mark Andrews is that difficult to trade for. I guess you could always just be the Ravens and then just have him on the team. But if you don't want to be the Ravens, you don't like the Ravens, you just want to be a different team, trading for him shouldn't be too difficult. Now, I say all this based on past Madden trading logic and with the updated trading logic that they had in Madden 21. I don't know what's going to happen in Madden 22. They may completely change it. They may completely do something different with the trade logic in Madden 22. We'll have to wait and see. But as of right now, in past Maddens, Mark Andrews is not the most difficult person in the world to trade for. So he's a great value pick. He's cheap. He is a good overall. He's going to get you a lot of yards, a lot of production. 87 overall, Hunter Henry of the New England Patriots. Now, I'm a big fan of this because the Patriots always have a high overall tight end, mainly because they always had Rob Gronkowski, but last year they didn't have Rob Gronkowski, so they didn't have the greatest tight ends. But now we've got Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry. Now, Jonnu Smith doesn't make this list, which makes me think he's at least like an 82, maybe an 81, maybe even an 83, I don't know. But Hunter Henry being 87 is very good, very exciting. He does have knee injury history, so that's a little bit concerning. But in Madden, he should be a very productive back, a very productive tight end, because he's going to have Cam Newton throwing to him. And in Madden, Cam Newton always does good, in simulation at least. I don't know how he does if somebody's actually playing as him. But in simulation, Cam Newton tends to always play pretty well. So in turn, that would make Hunter Henry play pretty well because the Patriots wide receiving core is a little bit better now. But it's nothing like it used to be. It's nothing like you have. It's nothing like you don't have a number one, a real number one like Julian Edelman or Randy Moss or something like that. So, or Rob Gronkowski. So Hunter Henry's going to get a lot of targets in simulation, I would assume. So having him at 87 is good. He's not as much of a value pick anymore because he just got paid by the Patriots, but he's still going to be a pretty productive tight end for you. Austin Hooper is an 86. Didn't he get hurt last year? I think he got hurt last year for the Browns, right? But he's still going to be very productive. He's still going to get you a lot of yards, a lot of touchdowns, a lot of catches. He's even going to block for you. He's probably one of the most underrated blocking tight ends in the league. He still can do it at a very high level. And 86 is a good rating for him. But another man that's an 86 overall is Mr. Rob Gronkowski of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Some would argue that Rob Gronkowski should be a 93 or a 96, or he should be in there because Rob Gronkowski is the best tight end of all time. But Rob Gronkowski had a really good year last year, but before that had been retired, has a ton of back problems, has a ton of shoulder and arm problems. Rob Gronkowski is very, very concerning, not only in real life, but in Madden. Because in Madden, injuries tend to happen very easily. Everybody knows that. Anybody that's played Madden for any amount of time knows that injuries tend to happen on weird plays and happen very, very often. They're very common. And Rob Gronkowski is one of the players in Madden that, for better or worse, happens to get hit with a lot of injuries. At least in my experience. I don't know about in your experiences, but in my experiences in Madden, Rob Gronkowski tends to get hurt a lot. So having him in an 86 overall is a good value for him because you're not taking a huge risk. Yes, he's very expensive, but if you have him on your team, you're not taking a huge risk because he's not the highest overall. You can still fit another tight end above him that's a higher overall. You could have maybe him and Hunter Henry on the same team, or maybe him and Mark Andrews on the same team because Mark Andrews is cheap, so it kind of would balance each other out. Maybe you have him and Darren Waller on the same team. I don't know. You could have any one of those guys on the same team, and Rob Gronkowski would be your number 2 because he's a great blocking tight end. He's very physical, and he could be a good number 2. I'm not saying that he's not a good number 1. He obviously is a good number 1, but I'm just basing this off of the injury history that he's had in the past. So 86 is a good value for him. Mike Gesicki at an 85. I'm surprised Mike Gesicki's not a little bit higher here. I'd probably flip him and Austin Hooper, to be honest with you, because I'm a big fan of Mike Gesicki. I think he's going to be a really good tight end in the league this year in real life, and that's going to probably translate over to Madden. So 85 is a little bit low, just probably like 1 overall lower than I would have him. I'd probably have him at 86, but that's a good start for Gesicki because I think he's starting to really come into his own, and he's going to be a really good player. TJ Hawkinson at an 85 is shocking because, not in a bad way, TJ Hawkinson probably, I'm surprised, is not a little bit higher. I'm surprised he's not like in the 86, 87 range because TJ Hawkinson is a good young tight end. He's probably the best young tight end. And 85 is, I'm shocked he's not higher. It's a little bit low to me. I feel like if he was an 86, it'd be probably on point. So I'm really just nitpicking at this point, having him be an 85. It's just one overall. It's a good value. He's still young. He's on a rookie deal. He's not going to be super expensive, but he's still going to be kind of expensive. So if you want to get him in your franchise, he's going to grow to mid-90s after your first season probably. So he's going to be pretty good for you. And then Dallas Goedert wraps up the top 10 at an 84. Now this is very controversial because you don't see guys like Zach Ertz on this list. You don't see guys like Evan Ingram on this list. And I know a lot of people make fun of Evan Ingram and they make memes out of him and stuff, but I still think that Evan Ingram probably is a little bit better than Dallas Goedert, in my opinion. In my opinion, I feel like Evan Ingram is probably a little bit better than Dallas Goedert. But Dallas Goedert at an 84 is not super surprising. It's probably more controversial than it is surprising at this point because, yes, Dallas Goedert's taken over for Zach Ertz. Well, not taken over, but he's kind of come into his own as the number one tight end. But I don't know. I feel like it just doesn't sit right to have Dallas Goedert on this list and not have a guy like Evan Ingram or a guy like Zach Ertz or a guy, anybody. Just I don't know. It doesn't sit right. It just doesn't feel right. You know what I mean? Like Dallas Goedert's a good player. He's going to be good in Madden. He's very underrated in Madden. But it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't sit right with me that have him on this list at 84 and not have a guy like that on another guy like that, or Evan Ingram or Zach Ertz or anybody else on this list. I don't know. It just doesn't feel right. I don't know what to say really. But that is your top 10 tight ends in Madden 22. Let me know down below if you would change anything, if you would move anybody up, if you would move anybody down, if you would switch any position or switch any overall ratings, like how I talked about switching Gesicki and Hooper. If you would do anything like that, let me know down below. And that's going to do it for me. Thank you guys so much for stopping by and watching. Make sure to smash that like button, notification bell, and the subscription button as well. Join the Juice Club, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.